everybody, welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster, as I look forward to some great racing coming up across Britain on Saturday, the 6th of September. There's some really good action, including at Haydock, the Sprint Cup meeting, at Ascot and Kempton, as well as other very good cards. If you're new to the service, please press the subscribe button just below this screen, then you'll get all my tips as they come along. If you're interested in more than just one or two at a weekend, then consider joining me at my Out in Front subscription service where I cover all the major meetings and always weekend tips as well as some during the week. And particularly in the coming weeks, we've got some great racing ahead with 4 days of the St. Leger next week, and then, of course, the Champions Weekend. We've got the 3-day Air Gold Cup meeting, and a good meeting at Newbury the following weekend, the Cambridgeshire meeting at Newmarket as well, including the Cheveley Park Stakes and the Cambridgeshire itself, and a big 2-day meeting at the Curragh, all before we get to the end of this month. So it's a great time to sign up without any tie-in and join me at just £25 a month for all my tips across all the big meetings and the smaller meetings as well, where I fancy something of interest. Well, last week I put up just the one selection on this service in a very hot race at the Curragh. The horse was called Tokenomics. He ran pretty well, but didn't manage to get into the frame, so that was a slight disappointment. But hopefully we'll do better. And I have two selections for you now for this weekend. Very quickly on to the first of them. The Kempton 205 is the final of the London Mile. It's standard to slow ground, 14 runners, and there are two previous winners of the race. The last two winners, indeed, Whitcomb Rockstar and Helm Rock. They're both very capable on the all-weather, but you'd have to say that of the two, Helm Rock, I think, is the more likely to figure, especially as he's just had a breathing operation that might help him. The James Fanshawe trained Sky Safari won a course and distance qualifier for the series in good style last time, and he's 2 from 2 over the course and distance this season. So she, or rather, has gone up £5. But as the market suggests, she is a major contender, Sky Safari. That's a young horse on the up. On its last visit here in March, Richard Hannon trained Local Hero was only narrowly beaten, and that was off a £5 higher mark. So despite not having been in the best of form on turf of late, it could be that coming back to the all-weather will help Local Hero put up a better effort. The Ian Williams trained Silent Age has been running well all summer, winning 3 of its 5 starts over the summer, including on the all-weather track at Dunstall Park at Wolverhampton. So it might not have finished improving yet after a really tough effort to get up and score at Ripon last time. And Kingdom Come for Clive Cox, not out of it on the pick of his all-weather form, but has to concede quite a lot of weight all round. If the first-time cheap pieces produce a step forward from Dragon Icon, trained by Roger Varian, then he could be very dangerous indeed after showing that he was pretty much on his way back when a fair third in a course and distance qualifier last time. And the Charles Hills train Cogitate was one that was very close to the top of my short list. He won at Salisbury earlier in the season, ran well enough last time and a close fourth at Newbury over just 7 furlongs. And having had 2 decent runs previously on the all-weather, relatively unexposed on the surface, and Cogitate is open to improvement. But after quite a bit of consideration, my selection is a horse I've been really impressed with this season. He's been progressing very well the last few months, and it's the Charlie Johnston trained Sir Paul Ramsey, who is the mount of Sam James. And I think this one is going to give it a really good go as he makes his debut on the all-weather. Now, he's a gelded son of See the Moon, who's a very successful sire these days. And he got off the mark at Hamilton in July, and then 2 starts later, he won a qualifier for this race. Surprisingly, a qualifier on turf for this all-weather final. And that came at Haydock, and he beat a good horse that day called Hawk's Bill in a driving finish. But he actually stepped up on that form when he was beaten only half a length at the Ebor meeting in the very valuable and very hotly contested Skyback Mile off a mark of 87. And then, despite not being at home at all on the track at Chester last time, he stayed on well in the closing stages over just 7 furlongs to finish 4. Now, it might appear, mightn't it, that I'm taking a big chance, tipping a horse that's never actually run on the all-weather when he's up against a host of experienced all-weather performers. But when you look at the pedigree of Sir Paul Ramsey, his dam was an all-weather winner, and a number of the siblings have got very good form on the artificial surfaces. So I don't really have any worries, and I'm quite sure that he's been galloped time and again on the artificial gallops up at Midland. So this progressive three-year-old, Sir Paul Ramsey, is going to be my choice. Currently a 15 to 2 shot each way for four places at the time of recording, having been supported down from 9 to 1 overnight Thursday into Friday. So Sir Paul Ramsey is my first selection on Saturday. And for my second, I take you to Ascot. There's a 6 furlong handicap there, set to be run at the time of recording. They're suggesting it's soft ground, although it might dry out a touch. 19 runners in a cavalry charge down the straight course at Ascot. Loads of familiar names taking in this £35,000 race. They include the rather out of form top weight Russet Gold for Roger Varian, although he's back now at the scene of his best run last season when he was a close third in soft ground in the Group 3 Ben Goff Stakes over the course and distance in October. And it's quite interesting that Russet Gold is now going to be partnered by Warren Fenterman, who's an up-and-coming young apprentice, the son of Duran Fenterman, and his claim is going to help the cause. Now, there are a host of horses with chances in this, among them James Fanshaw's course specialist Fresh, who seems to run in all the big 7 furlong, 6 furlong handicaps at this track, but has only run twice this year and has been dropped £3 since his latest effort when he was in the mid-division in the international handicap at the King George meeting in July. Double Rush, well, Charles Hill's horse, that one won at Wolverhampton and Newmarket earlier in the season and was then third in the Macmillan Sprint at York. And that came prior to his latest really good effort in a hot handicap at Hamilton. I think Double Rush might go off favourite. He looks sure to have plenty of supporters. Old Rohan is back for more, the David Evans trained Rohan. Can you believe he's down at the bottom of the weights, this horse who's been such a star in the past? He's been struggling of late. And remember, he's won 2 Wokingham handicaps over the course and distance and the Group 3 Ben Goff Stakes as well in the past. But he's down now to 81. Your hopes would rely, if you're interested in Rohan, on him coming back here and maybe just having a going day when he realises he's getting weight from everything and he's not got so much weight on his back. And then there's the recent Windsor winner, Brosse for Paul Atwater, Fast Track Harry, and Jubilee Walk, others that are in with a squeak. But my selection at Ascot in the 425 is a horse that I think the bookies might be scared of. William Haggas, as you know, all his runners in handicaps are feared by the betting industry, and by default, they tend to install them as favourite. Now, he's running 2 in this race. He's running Carbine Harvester, but that's a horse whose best form is generally on the all-weather, and he's been off for 4 months. So I think he might have a bit of a task on. However, his stable companion is Bin Haria, trained by William Haggis, and the mount of Kieran Fallon. And Bin Haria is a very interesting runner. He's a real eye catcher who started to improve significantly in the last couple of months, and I think he's on the up and up. He won a fair handicap over 6 furlongs at Ayr in July of 79. Then, last time out, he ran second in that grey horse race, restricted to just grey horses, that novelty event at Newmarket of 87. But it was a really competitive heat this year, and he's since been raised now up to 90. So he's £11 higher than his win at Ayr in July. Now, interestingly, he has been the subject of anti-post market support for the Ayr Gold Cup. William Haggis had a horse that a lot of people hoped might run in the Ayr Gold Cup, having bolted up at the track not that long ago, but he did announce that what is one of the Shadwell horses, he wouldn't run and he'd be going elsewhere and going into Patent Company. So, might it be that Williams more interested in relying on Bin Harir? The thing is, though, he's got a mark of 90, and that wouldn't guarantee him a run. So, in order to get a better chance of getting a run in the Ayr Gold Cup in 2 weeks' time, he's hoping, I think, to pick up a £5 penalty for winning this, taking him up to 95, and then he'd have to be quite unlucky not to make the cut. So that's my theory. And Bin Harir, I think, an unexposed 3-year-old improving fast with a top yard and a really good jockey on board is the one I'm hoping is going to go well. Um, we haven't had any odds at the time of this recording, but I'm hoping we'll be able to back him at 5 to 1 or so each way as a bet to nothing each way, and that will be in at least 4 places. There may be some firms offering 5. So keep a close eye on Bin Harir there in the 425 at Ascot. So that's the second of my 2 selections. A reminder, if you want 4 more and maybe some more as well into Sunday ahead of the St Ledger meeting and the Champions meeting next week, then consider signing up via the link in the description box and joining me out in front. But for now, from me, Paul Alster, I hope you have a great weekend. Bye for now.